Hi, this is Melody Gray with the Houston Drama Club. This podcast is meant to help promote plays and musicals here in the Houston area. Our website is www.houstondramaclub.com, where you can find upcoming and currently playing productions. So join me while I go out into the Houston theater community to find out what's going on. Join the club and let's go see some theater. This podcast is brought to you by Playdate. Playdate is a Facebook app created by Adina Owen that shows you all the plays going on in Houston every day. Use it to find out what is playing so you can go see some live theater. Go to Facebook and type in Playdate, 2 words, to find the app. Also, if you want to promote a play that is not listed, write a post on the comments and Adina will add it. Now, on to today's podcast. And just one technical note about tonight's broadcast. It's not windy. I just sat under an air return for an air conditioner, so it may sound like it's windy. We're in the lobby at Theater Southwest, so I apologize. Anyway, here's the podcast. Hello, everybody. This is Melody Gray, and I'm so excited to be here at Theater Southwest interviewing Joseph Moore and Alexandria Garrett. They are the director and assistant director for Enchanted April that's opening tomorrow night. Hello, you guys. Welcome.
Hi.
And I want to apologize to my listeners a little bit. I was so excited about the Houston Drama Club, and I was off to a great start, but then I had to work one weekend, and then I've been sick, so it's been like 3 weekends, and I haven't done a podcast, so please forgive me. I won't charge you. They're free, these podcasts. Anyway. So I'm here to interview you guys to talk about the play. And Joseph, this is your first time directing, correct?
It's my first time directing a full production, yes.
But you've done little things like you did the Foo.
Yeah, I did one scene here at Theater Southwest for a monthly meeting.
Okay.
I mean, I've directed smaller things in my past, scenes here and there, but I've never gotten to direct a full production. So very excited, being my first time, and really grateful to Theater Southwest for taking a chance on a new director. It's always an exciting thing.
And Alexandria, have you ever been an assistant director? Tell us a little bit about your history.
I have not. So I've done like production assistant, I've been a stage manager, I've been deck manager, things like that, and then obviously acting, but never had a part in the directing, usually just being told what to do. So, which I still am, thankfully. It's like, as an actor, you kind of need to be told what to do all the time, otherwise you're like, how do I be successful? So thankfully I've had Joseph be like, well, here's my vision, here's what we want. I'm like, great. I'll be the backup who's making sure it's happening, and a little rough and tough sometimes.
And I have to put in a plug for Alexandria because it's been amazing having an assistant director who is so organized. I mean, she even put line notes online so that actors could get their line notes and didn't even have to sit there and write them down. It was amazing.
Also, I could make sure they saw them and heard them, because I could see online if it was seen and noted.
Yes.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
That was a first for me, to have someone that organized. And
Yes,
yeah.
Great. So now, Joseph, tell us a little bit about your history. You have been a professional opera singer, is that correct?
Well, I was a struggling professional opera singer. Yeah, I lived in New York for many years. I studied opera, but of course, I always did theater as well, and opera is theater. It's just a different, heightened form of it. But so really, I cut my teeth on the musical side of things. But I've always really loved theater and drama. And
your Italian has really helped with Enchanted April, right?
It was very beneficial, since we, of course, being a community theater, we can't afford dialect coaches and things like that. So, and there's quite a bit of Italian in this show. In fact, one of the characters speaks nothing but Italian.
And she does a great job. That's Julie.
Yes, Julie.
Yes,
killing it.
Yeah.
So tell us the cast, Alex.
Melody Gray.
I'm in the play. Everybody, come see it.
Mrs. Graves.
She plays Mrs. Graves. I feel so bad because I don't laugh. I cackle and like chortle in the front row. And so every time Melody speaks, I'm like, blah! So it's been an exercise in focus for her, definitely. We also have, it's really cool, we have a couple in the production, Seth Ramsey and Sandra Ramsey. Seth plays Mellersh Wilton.
Yes.
Sandra plays Lady Caroline Bramble. Sorry, I just started talking.
No, that's
Yeah.
right.
We can split the
And then we have our Lottie Wilton, Mellersh's wife, is Amanda Garcia Fall. And our Rose Arnott is Laura Chapman. Her husband Frederick is played by Eric Dunlap. And I think that...
Mr. Wilding.
Yeah, oh, and Mr. Wilding, Corey Barron
Yes.
is Mr. Wilding, who
Yes.
I also, along with Melody, Alex, and Corey, and I all worked together on Stupid Fucking Bird last season.
directed by Eric, and
Directed by Eric, right.
that was so fun. I feel like that was a show where we still check in with each other once a month. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Really nice.
Well, that is super. And talk about your creative team a little bit, because I know that there's volunteers. There's one volunteer that's here in the lobby right now.
That's right. Jay
Jay
Chaka, working on our marquee.
Just say hello, Jay.
Hi, I just wanted to say Joseph Moore killed in The Whale. Killed in it. And Alexandria Rose Garrett blew me away, still blows me away every day in Stupid Fucking Bird. It's so nice to see them working together. Talk about chemistry. Get on down here and see it yourself.
Thank you, Jay.
Even though they're backstage.
You'll see our thumbprints all over it.
That's right. That's right. So volunteers, but there's also...
Yes, it is
We're recording a podcast. Could you please just...
So sorry. I'm so happy with my marquee now.
Yeah. Well, it is of course an all-volunteer theater. No one at Theater Southwest gets paid anything. So in order to get productions like this off the ground, you really have to call in a lot of favors, and fortunately there are a lot of really wonderful, dedicated people here. John Stevens built our set. He builds most of the sets for Theater Southwest on a completely volunteer basis. One of our cast members, Eric Dunlap, has helped with a lot of the art direction and design. Scott McWhirter has designed the lights and sound for the show. And, we've had other people like Melinda and Trevor Cohn donating or lending us furniture pieces for the show.
And costume
pieces. And
Brian Heaton
came through with a bench. So we just put out a call, and we have a lot of really wonderful supporters who come out and help us. Sharina Bachholt.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Wes Straw as our stage crew. I feel like I'm missing people. There's always people to be missed.
And then your partner who has helped us.
Yes.
Yeah. Luis.
That's what we
Can't forget Luis Espinosa. He's been sort of my production assistant and kind of helping me out little by little behind the scenes.
And truly everyone's moral support.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in a first-time directing, you really need all the help and support you can get. But honestly, this is the hardest I have ever worked on a project in my life. Just the amount of sheer physical labor trying to get the set going. This is a complicated show too to do for your first time. Aside from the fact that there are
so many people.
Well, yeah, there are 8 people on stage at the same time, many times. There are 9 location changes in the first act alone. And then you have to go from London to a terrace in Italy between acts. So it's, there are a lot of technical challenges. There are a couple of special effects that we are, trying to make work in a small theater with no budget. Right. So it's amazing the stuff that I think that we've been able to accomplish. I think we're putting on a beautiful show. Yes. And the cast has been amazing. They have made my first time as a director just a joy. Everyone has worked so hard. And honestly, this production, we have had obstacle after obstacle that has been completely out of our control, between weather, health issues, conflicts, an issue with the electrical system at the theater. Everything from the get-go was standing in our way, and yet the cast rallied and has put together something really special.
Yeah, we joke. It was like everyone kind of caught the plague at some point.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Imelda really wanted to be a part of the show,
yes,
so she made an entrance.
Yeah, a little tropical storm in the way.
It was crazy. The amount of just frantic texts I sent Joseph throughout the day a few weeks ago.
Are we going to have rehearsal?
Is a rehearsal? So there's some water in my apartment, but...
I can do it.
Yeah. exciting.
So, who chose the play?
Oh, well, that's the play reading committee at Theater Southwest.
Got you.
And I was really actually shocked when I got an email from Mimi last spring asking if I would direct the show because...
And Mimi Holloway, for our listeners, is the
artistic director
here at Theater Southwest.
And because usually there's a process for new directors before you get to do a full stage play. You direct a festival of originals scene there. And I had done the monthly meeting scene, but I had not yet done a Festival of Originals production. So I was really surprised to be asked to do this. But also, it's actually one of my... Enchanted April, the movie version, was one of my... It's in my list of all-time favorite movies. So I've always loved this movie. And
It's really
the
a
novel
movie.
is beautiful.
It's a movie about the law of attraction. I mean, if you really think about it, you
and
know?
about stepping back and seeing things with fresh eyes.
Yes.
And I think there's also a real feminist perspective that you could take with this because, the first act is London and it's cold and raining, just this pervasive rain through the entire first act. And, everything is austere and bare. And then the second act is just this lush, beautiful, feminine environment. So you sort of have this balance of masculine and feminine, and the women don't bloom until they get together without the men there. And then they invite the men back in, and everyone has changed.
It's really powerful of, women supporting women, women hearing women out, accepting different perspectives of life.
And class.
And class, and not negating their right to hurt or their right to be woman, just hearing it.
Right. Well, I mean, Lottie's got that line, here we're all equal, which I love.
It's great. We're all the hostess. We're
Yeah.
all equal. It's
And in 1922 British society, there were still very, very clear class distinctions. And you see multiple classes in the show all coming together and becoming friends, becoming sisters.
And I did really love, too, in the first act, you're kind of... When I read it, it's like, wow, can't wait to not get married. And then comes second act, you're seeing how beautiful marriage can be and where that partnership can be when you allow your partner to change and you allow yourself to fall back in love with this new person that you get to spend life with. So it's really warm. Right. Recognizing that it is a journey of continuously choosing to fall in love.
It's also very pro-vacation.
Yes, and I think we all need a vacation.
Yes. How stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping into something new allows you to see your life with fresh eyes and from a fresh perspective. And if that's not an argument for a vacation, I don't know what is.
I mean,
well, and my character, Mrs. Graves, I'm not going to spoil it, but she gets better, mentally and physically. And I was thinking it's because she's on the Mediterranean diet. She's eating all this fish, and she's having all this oil, and so
and sunshine,
and so maybe she has
and the sisterhood too.
Right.
You can't because your character was probably a very lonely woman. She lost her husband.
She only had one pen pal, Kate Lumley.
Yes.
And I don't think Kate Lumley writes her back very often.
And all the characters are dealing with loss of some kind or another.
Correct.
And so there's a big they all are coming to Italy and they all heal through that being together and being in this new environment, and it's really something that makes it very lovely.
Well, for me, from my perspective, it's been a lovely experience. I was a little reluctant to do it because I get sick and I just wanted a little bit of a rest, but when I found out that you were directing it, I was very excited about that because you were the assistant director on Stupid Fucking Bird, and you really helped me so much to really bring my character to life around that. And I know your work ethic and I know your commitment because P.S. everybody, community theater, everybody pitches in financially with their physical energy. And so I was so happy to know that you were going to be directing it. And I knew that the ship would be steered in a great way. And then knowing that Alex was on board as well, it's like, she runs a tight ship. So
well,
that's a very nice way to phrase it.
It's very kind
and
of
the
you
best
to say.
and most fabulous curated way.
It's very kind of you to say that. And of course, I mean, I was excited, but I was also a little terrified because I'd never taken on anything like this before. And, you know, when then we saw it, I saw it for the first time Tech Week and saw what you guys did and saw it like with lights and I said, wow, maybe I don't really suck as a director.
You never did. You never did.
But you know,
Never
it's like
did.
you always have those self-doubts doing
course.
something for the first time. Like, is this right? Is this, you know, are people responding to this? But it felt good through the whole process. But
Well,
it's
and
so hard to know. But then you see the finished product, you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
really something nice.
Well, and I have to give you kudos and credit because, you know, you've been bossed around by a bunch of women in this production.
Me especially.
Where we're like, no, like, you know, all of a sudden, like, four women are saying, no, do like this. And Joseph's like, okay, you know. So I love that you don't have, like, the ego around it, that it has to be your way and that you're a great collaborator. And I think that comes a lot from your operatic training to know that it is a huge thing to launch. And so you have to be collaborative to be as successful.
And just, you know, being an actor myself, knowing what works for me as an actor, the kinds of relationships I like to have with directors, I try to bring to my own directing. And so, you know, I love working with actors, and I always think that, you know, the best job that a director can do is to bring out the best in the actors. So it's not, so while as a director, I have a vision for what I'd like to see, I also understand that there's going to be compromise along the way, because I'm never going to actually get to see exactly what's in my head, because there's no way you can effectively communicate what's in your head to someone else. They're only ever going to be able to do an interpretation of what they're hearing you say.
Well, is that one of the biggest things that you've learned here, is how to more effectively communicate your vision?
Perhaps. You know, I think that that's going to be an ongoing thing as I get more comfortable and as I figure out, you know, what works and what doesn't. You know, I still... It's challenging. It's really challenging because, you know, you a lot of times have to communicate with imagery, or you have to communicate, like, you know, what's the impact I'm trying to get from this character, because otherwise you resort to, like,
A line read.
Yes,
Yeah.
a line read, or
Yeah.
this is how how I want you to do it, and I really don't like to impose that on actors. You know, for me, that is an absolute last resort.
I love it. Just tell me how you want me to say it. You know,
Right.
I mean, some people in my acting program, they
Yeah.
were like, you know, I'm not a puppet. Don't be a puppet master to those directors. And I'm like, no, just tell me what you're thinking of. And if you have to do it and give me an example, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Well,
you know?
and so, I mean, a lot of times I will demonstrate, it's like something like this. It's not
Right,
exactly
right.
this, but, like, you know, does this help you to
I
understand
would
what I'm
have
looking
a director. Her phrase was always, "Not like me, like you." And
Yeah.
then she had a director who was also my director in undergrad who would say, "No, I'm not giving you a line reading, but," and she would. So it would be a joke amongst friends. We'd keep tally, and that's it's just a running joke we kept.
Yeah.
Right.
But it is. It's really. You know, I have great respect for great directors who are able to pull that out of people without doing that.
Yeah.
It's a really hard thing to do. In fact, my roommate now she's a director and a playwright and an actor, and, you know, so we have long conversations about directing because, you know, she's very experienced, and so a lot of times I would run ideas by her, or, you know, ask for her opinion or feedback or advice on, you know, something I was having trouble with, and that's been enormously helpful.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, it's been such a pleasure, and I know that we got to get going because this is the
Yes.
last dress rehearsal.
dress.
And so break a leg tonight or tomorrow night, you guys.
You too.
And I'm very excited, and thanks for spending the time with the Houston Drama Club.
Whee!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enchanted April is playing October 25th through November 16th at Theater Southwest. Our shows are on Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. with one matinee on Sunday, November 3rd at 3 p.m. Theater Southwest is located at 8944A Clarkcrest, Houston, Texas 77063. It's off of Fondren between Richmond and Westheimer. So we'd love to see you, so come out and see Enchanted April. Thank you. Bye-bye.